Welcome to the Steel City Huddle podcast. I'm Leanne Lohman, joined as always by Zach Franciscus. And Zach, we are finally there. There are no more weeks until the regular season begins. We are finally getting ready to kick the real season off. I said to you before the show started, we've been doing this and we're like, there's all these months until the season starts. Then it was all these weeks until the season starts. And then it was days. And like now it's here and it doesn't even feel real. How excited are you? Or nervous? Or do you have like the bubble guts, or how are you feeling about it?
Surreal's a good way to put it, because it doesn't feel like we know enough for me to be done waiting. I want more answers. The amount of unknowns is ridiculous. So just kind of surreal.
It does feel like there's a lot of variables today. So tonight's show is going to be a little bit different. We've been doing like positional groups and like breaking down all the news. So we'll talk a little bit about some of the news items that have come out, but we really want to talk a lot and hear from you guys that are watching the show, what your feelings are about how the preseason wrapped up and how you feel about this team going into the regular season. Are there things that you didn't expect? And I don't just mean that like somebody wasn't as good as you expected them to be, but I think that Zach and I both walked away from this preseason with this feeling of like, oh, we actually don't really know anything about what this team's going to look like even less than normal. And maybe that's a good thing, because the last time I remember being really confident, Kenny Pickett broke my heart. So, who knows?
It's the who knows describes my entire feeling about this
right
now. The only thing we do know that we're very lucky, other than Derek Harmon and possibly a little bit of a hampered Nick Herbig, we're a healthy football team.
Yeah.
I don't really that's all I could ask for. So
yeah.
I am very happy that we know who's going to be in what starting place whenever that kicks off on week 1.
Yeah, that is good news. The Steelers named their 2025 captains. Cam Hayward, Miles Killebrew, no surprise there. I mean, he's permanently slotted in. Aaron Rodgers and TJ Watt. I think a lot of people were surprised by Aaron Rodgers, and I heard some of the players really come and speak out about that and say that that was kind of like a no-brainer to them. Jalen Warren said that the pen was writing Aaron before I could even think what I was going to write. He's a coach and a best friend all in one. You couldn't ask for more from a quarterback.
From everything I've heard, from the little I've seen, it seems like this isn't just you're Aaron Rodgers, here's a captaincy. This is you came into Pittsburgh, you proved that you want to be here. Any reservations that we may have had, you've won us over. And because Steelers don't hand out captaincies. I don't know. Some teams do. We do not do that.
No, and I also have never thought that we were the team that was like, oh, you're a quarterback, so you have to be our captain, or oh, you're this position or make X amount of money, so you have to be a captain. I never thought that that was the way that we've handled it. And I know in the past for fans, sometimes they're frustrated by the choices, like the year that when Naj was captain, like his second season. So I know that sometimes it frustrates fans, but I think it's good. But so I thought this was a little bit surprising. I felt like he's somebody who's in all likelihood only going to be here for 1 year, right? And so you're saying he had such a huge impact on this team in the preseason that you just feel so confident in his leadership abilities and his impact with this team. I mean, that's pretty remarkable. I know I won't speak for Zach, but I know I've shit all over Aaron Rodgers a lot and not been real happy about this. But, I admitted that I'm kind of, as a player, I'm coming around to him being on the team. And if he can have that kind of an impact, I think that's huge. If that's really genuine and he's really having that kind of an impact, I think that's huge.
Exactly. They wouldn't just give that to him because he showed good, teamsmanship, and he showed up and he had a hang for. I went out in Malibu. I think it's going to translate into chemistry.
Yeah.
I think that's what everyone's saying. Where despite the fact he didn't play a single snap in the preseason, which a lot of people are nervous about, I think that this is showing that everyone's like, calm down, everything's good. When we hit that, he's going to be perfectly fine. And I'm trusting that to be the truth, because to be honest, we have literally nothing to go on to decide that, other than yeah, this captaincy. So it's a good move in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you. The other big piece of news that kind of came out this week, and I think it surprised a lot of people too, was the extension that Jalen Warren was giving. So he had 1 year left on the contract he was on. So he was given a 3 year extension, comes out to 17.5 million over the next 3 years. That gives him a contract value of roughly 5.8 million a year. He was set to play on a restricted free agent tender of 5.3 million. So the increase was minimal. And I mean, people were upset. And I'm like, wait a minute, we're paying him. I'm doing the math, and I'm like, we're paying him basically the same amount of money.
I think it's the principle of the thing, and I think we talked about this, and I don't mind admitting when I heard about this, my very first thought was
A little
that
salty.
why didn't you pay Najee? Right
I
there, my
was
very first thought.
salty.
But like you're right. When you do the math, you sit back. You're like, no, it's not the money that was going to go to Najee and all that. Although I would feel a little better if we would have at least had one season of knowing what he's like without the tandem that he had. But yet again, this is another way of the Steelers saying, listen, you've shown us everything we need to see out of you in camp. We didn't ask you to do much in preseason, and this is your reward go. Because this is how Steelers reward people. Because
Yeah,
even he seemed surprised in his press conference. He's like, I had hoped for this, but it came a lot
yeah,
sooner than I hoped.
yeah.
And good for the Steelers for doing that. Because if nothing else, what a great guy.
All I can think to myself is that, look, sometimes you're right and sometimes you're wrong, but maybe they are seeing something in him in preseason that made them think that he's really going to knock it out of the park this year as RB1, right? And they want to make sure that they have him on lockdown now for as cheap as possible before he does this great season. And then they have to try to lock him in, pay him more.
That's That's true. The funniest thing about the backfield is that I didn't know that there was a nickname floating around. Kenneth Gainwell's nickname to Mike Tomlin. He calls him Kenny G. Did
It's
not know that. That was burst out laughing in the middle of the Mike Tomlin conference when he
Yeah,
said that out loud. I
yeah.
thought that was funny.
I
So
love it. It's so appropriate. Charlotte chimes in. She does correct herself for misspelling Hayward. She said the biggest news this past week should be that Connor Hayward was not cut, did not get cut. And I'm glad she brought up Connor Hayward because there was an interesting, bit from him where he kind of said he feels like he's been made the like team scapegoat or the team fall guy. And for a while, they used Cordarrelle Patterson as this like I don't know even the right term for it, like to kick him when he's down, right? When things don't go well, and you say all this negative stuff about Cordarrelle Patterson. He said now he's gone, and now it's me, and everybody says I don't deserve to be here, and I'm just here because of my brother, and blah blah blah. And so I saw all of that on Twitter today, and I thought that was interesting. I think the Steelers really, really love a last name, right? But
yeah,
I don't know. Do you really believe they keep Connor Hayward just because he's a Hayward? Is that the same as keeping Derek Watt because he's a Watt? Or did they feel there was some value in this player, even if they aren't as good as their older brother? Like, it's got to be hard to be compared all the time to TJ Watt or JJ Watt or Cameron Hayward, right? Like, that can't be easy. You don't need to be that same person. So if it wasn't Connor Hayward, wouldn't it just be some other player not named Connor Hayward that had that same skill set?
probably. It's mainly confusing because I don't see what he brings to the team that makes him in that roster spot rather than someone else. There
Yeah.
has to be something behind the scenes, or maybe there's a special teams aspect that he brings that I don't see. But there has to be something because it can't be just the name. Because to be honest, if Connor Hayward needs a reason, I don't really care if you earn your spot here, but I
Yeah.
don't feel like he really has. Cordell Patterson certainly didn't, and I think he deserved the resulting thing.
Yeah. I won't speak for you, but I was surprised that Cordell Patterson underperformed at the level that he did. Like, I wasn't expecting old Cordell Patterson, but I expected a little bit more from him than what we saw. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know if the Steelers felt surprised or not. I felt like surely they saw that same garbage in training camp last year, and I don't know why it didn't get cut back then, but I don't know.
And we have a crowded tight end room too, and I think if
Mm-hmm.
there wouldn't be a slash fullback next to his name, he would not have made this roster. But Arthur Smith's offense every once in a while makes room for that non-traditional fullback. This is not like a Dan Kreider kind of fullback that just
No.
is there purely for blocking. So prove me wrong, Hayward. Go out and prove me wrong, because I love old Smash Mouth football. I love fullbacks when used correctly. Mike Allstott is a player I will love forever. Old Tampa Bay Buccaneers
Yeah.
fullback, but I don't see it happening. I don't. I don't think Connor Hayward is going to be on this team in 2026.
He's not that guy. And look, I don't mean that that's a bad thing or a negative thing, right? I think he's got some talent, but they need to figure out what it is that they can do with him that fits him in that team, where he has a positive impact. You know what I mean? He's a contributor on that offense all the time. Relic writes a book and then he just gets out of pocket about bringing back CPAT, bringing back Van Jefferson. Robert Woods walked away. I heard voluntarily. They said practice
Yep.
squad, and he said just let me go home. So good for
I,
him.
I was surprised he wanted to be on the practice squad. Like, did he join the practice squad just so he could be back in the facility to ask if he could be part of the team
Well, I
again?
thought
Because
they
that's
put
kind of
him
what it
on the
seems like.
practice squad, and he said no. He wanted
Oh,
to.
okay.
He
I
wants to
thought he
leave
was
the
signed.
team.
Okay.
Mm-mm.
Okay.
No, no, they put him on the
That's
practice
not
squad,
as
and then,
nefarious.
yeah, said he wanted to leave. No, it wasn't anything exciting like that. Chris asked, how long before Caleb Johnson is listed as RB2 on the depth chart, or is it just theatrics? I think this is a really interesting topic. I had this in my notes to bring up tonight because, look, it's no secret if you're a Steelers fan or even a semi Steelers fan that Mike Tomlin doesn't always start his rookies off right away, right? Najee Harris is a little bit, people keep comparing it to Najee Harris. Najee Harris was a first round draft pick out of Alabama. Like, you expect big things from somebody like that. And I know that Caleb Johnson had phenomenal stats in college. I know he performed really well. I'm not knocking any of that, but the stage, the setting, slightly different. He even admitted that this preseason that the game is a lot faster than what he was used to. The guys are a lot bigger than what he's used to. You get hit a lot harder than he's used to. And the whole thing, there's a lot more plays. It's all moving at a much more rapid pace than what he's used to. So I think he's going to need some time to adjust. And I think in the meantime, I think Mike Tomlin's going to make it seem like they don't even expect to use him. We're going to rely on Jalen Warren. We're going to rely on Kenny G. That's what we're going to do for right now. And then we've done that running back by committee for a couple of years. So then we'll fit Caleb Johnson in, where he fits in as we go. I think then once he starts to show he has that skill, I think at some point I think he'll be the running back, the first running back, but not yet.
I agree. I think this is an interesting backfield because regardless of the extension, like I said, do what Leanne did, do the math. Look, if you just see, oh, extension, we paid him this much and all this, Jalen Warren is not, suddenly a billionaire in terms of what NFL players and running backs are paid. So this is a show me backfield. Which running back is going to get the division of labor from Mike Tomlin? Because from the very little I saw to Jalen Warren, he looked like he was trying to do too much too quickly. And that happens a couple times in a row, and we go knock on something, we go 3 and out. Then we have a couple of the running backs, whichever one starts to, it could be the Kenny Gainwell show. It literally could be whichever running back does, but I agree with you. Long run, we drafted Caleb Johnson to be one of the futures in this backfield, and it's purely up to
Yeah.
him whether he can do it. I just don't know
Yeah.
if he can yet.
And I actually prefer this. I know everybody's excited to see him play. I am too. I know everybody's excited to see him be successful. He was very dynamic in college. But the last thing I want is for him to be wrecked, to get into the NFL, to get in too fast, for it to hurt his confidence. There's no reason to force him or push him. We've got Jaylen Warren locked up with him for 3 years. Do you know what I mean? So let him work his way in and get his feet wet and get used to it. And I think, to me, that makes a lot of sense.
It does. It's a great position for him to be in because he doesn't have to be the savior of this backfield. He could be a
Right.
part of the backfield and learn along the way. And if he messes up, it's not the end of the world. It's a long season. And I'm thinking Jaylen Warren will be there. Kenny Gainwell will be there to say, get back up. You'll be fine. Other plays will be there.
Right.
That to help the rookies not make too many rookie mistakes. Everyone's going to look like a rookie at some point during their rookie season. The thing is, how limited can you make those moments?
Yeah. I think that's really fair. Relic clarified what I was trying to say much more clear than what I was saying, which was Robert Woods asked for a release and said, I won't be a practice squad player. The Steelers put him on the practice squad. He didn't want to do it. He said, just release me. They said, no problem. No hard feelings. I don't blame him. He said he only wants to be on a team if he's going to make the 53-man roster.
Yeah. That makes sense. It's a much classier exit than Kenny Pickett had.
So. Yeah, that a lot of people had. Yeah. So I'm all for that. Hey, look, you know what I mean? If that's what you need, if that's what you want, if that's what your goal is or how you feel about it, he's not a second or third year player. You got to do what you got to think, you think is right for your future. And I don't have a problem with that. So I say do whatever works best for you. So good for him. So let's talk a little bit about this wide receiver room and the comment Mike Tomlin kind of implied today, what you and I have sort of been saying all season, which is it sounds like these tight ends are kind of part of this collective group of wide receiver too. Is that what you took from his comment?
That is because he kind of got to the point. He was asking about Calvin Austin, whether Calvin Austin is that wide receiver 2 kind of person. And he said, yeah, but then he did his Mike Tomlin thing, kind of sidestepped into the next thing. I was like, yeah, but we got other guys. We got, Roman Wilson, and I have confidence in Jonnu Smith, and I have confidence in Freiermuth. And I kept waiting. I was like, what about the other guys? Darnell Washington is there. Scotty Miller is there. The amount of people he could have said that I think he just, yeah, it's an interesting point at wide receiver too, because it's wide receiver / tight end to me.
Do you think that was, and look, this is purely subjective because there is zero chance any of us can read Mike Tomlin's mind because that man is like a steel trap. You never know if what he's saying is like intentional, if it's unintentional. Sometimes I think it's intentionally unintentional. I think he says things to mess with the media a lot. Do you think that he left out those wide receivers was indicative of those wide receivers, or do you think it was more that he was trying to make a point about this collective we of this group including the tight ends?
I think if I was going by the top of the draft of the depth chart, pretty much what he did is he mentioned, in my opinion, the people who are wide receiver 2A and wide receiver 2B, and then the guys who are tight end 1A and tight end 2B. So I think he did it because he was going in his mind through the depth chart, and those are the first 4 guys on this list. So I don't think that specific thing was to specifically mess with people, but in general, it seemed like he was doing it quite a bit during the process.
Yeah. I think he does that stuff sometimes. And so I think it'll be interesting to see. Like, I feel better about that wide receiver group after seeing Roman Wilson play, and after seeing how they looked in the preseason. I thought that they looked better than I expected them to look. So I actually don't feel that bad about it, and I saw that, after Mike Tomlin made that comment about they feel pretty good about their wide receiver 2 group, then once again, people on Twitter are like, well, then why are you out trying to get some other wide receiver? And it's like, well, we don't really know how many they actually went after. Maybe they made some calls. You'd be stupid to not call about people, right? You would be remiss if you didn't make the phone call to say, hey, is Terry McLaurin, can we do this deal? Or so-and-so, can we do this deal? It is not necessarily that you're out there like banging on doors trying to find somebody. You're just doing your due diligence as a GM or as a coach.
That's true, and I think this I don't know if it's every year, but this specific year, especially the Steelers are really in on the people that they already have on their roster or the people
Yeah.
that they had at camp. They don't want to go outside that circle too much when they're bringing in people that are going to be regular people you see on the field. So for
Yeah.
everyone thinking, "Oh, there's still time for us to bring in that big," no, the roster is 99.9% set. Maybe a fifth or sixth depth chart player is going to come in. Other than that, this is the if you're not happy with the roster, you're not going to be happy for a little bit. Just
Yeah,
saying.
I don't
So
see any changes coming. I mean, maybe, hopefully no one gets hurt. Hopefully we don't have to make any changes. Do you know what I mean? For that reason. So but otherwise I agree with you. I don't think that there's going to be any earth shattering changes being made at this point.
exactly, we have the depth for if those injuries are going to happen, but hopefully they don't happen too
Right.
often. But we have that backup in case of our aging quarterback getting hurt. Although I am hearing more and more from reputable sources, there's a very good chance that we simply will not see Will Howard off IR this entire year,
Yeah.
and I didn't expect that. So yeah.
Yeah, I didn't expect that either. And then he was on it. And then I was like, oh, he might stay there.
Yeah, because I mean, if we get to the point where it's like week 6, week 7, and he can't like continuously participate, Mike
Yeah.
Tomlin's not bringing him back in. I think it was a Roman Wilson thing that happened last year. A lot of people were comparing it, or because he wasn't in the mix at a certain point. It's like, sorry, we'll keep saying that, oh, maybe, but you're not in the mix.
You're not, yeah. And I don't think that that's a terrible thing. That kid needs time and development and all of
Yeah,
those things, right? I don't think that that's the worst thing ever. I think I'm not knocking the kid. I think he's got a lot of talent. I think he's got potential. I think he could maybe be somebody, but not if we rush him in too soon, not if you overwhelm him. That's not going to be the ticket to getting him to where you want him to be, this next Ben Roethlisberger or whatever it is.
that's true. And there is very little chance that Will Howard has already shown the Steelers enough to make them not want to go out and look at 2026 draft as for two reasons. Number one, that the quarterback mix in 2026 is really deep. Number two, it's in Pittsburgh. You want to draft the quarterback of the future in Pittsburgh when the draft's in. Everything's lining up for that. And Will Howard didn't blow anyone's socks off to the point where, like, you know what, Will? We're going to pass on that first round pick. So Lenora Sellers is there. You're taking a Sellers. So
Yeah.
that kind of thing.
And look, I mean, it's still not to say that Howard can't get there, right? It's not saying that he can't get there. He's just, you can't bank your future on the unknown at that level. Like the game keeps moving forward. The team has to keep moving forward, right?
Exactly. And I've said this a lot, and I know you're not the biggest fan of me using this particular word, but I can't think of anything. This is such a beautifully boring roster to me in many ways because I like boring football. Go out, 8-9 play drive, mix of run and pass, score. Then do it again. Defense stop them and all that. This is the kind of roster I would build in Madden.
Yeah.
Like this is the kind of roster that would work. So
Isn't
I'm
win.
looking for yeah. And as we talk about a week 1, I'm going to talk about why boring is going to be very good for us. So.
Okay, good. I'm going to hold you to that. All right, look, I have to ask you before we talk about our next topic, before I forget this. What, totally off Steelers, but what did you think about Micah Parsons? How blown away were you by that trade, or were you not surprised?
No, absolutely blown away. Completely shut. Number one, I didn't think it was Green Bay. Even if you're not in the same division as the Cowboys, that's an eternal rival for them. So, number one win for Green Bay. Number two, you got a 26-year-old elite pass rusher for that low of a cost.
Yeah.
That it's great. Now, I will say this. There something in the back of my mind when I saw that he's going to need like some kind of injection in his back to play and he's dealing with a joint thing. And I'm like, okay, if this turns into anything and the Cowboys just knew something, but everything that's coming out is saying Jerry Jones was a stubborn old fucking white man and said, you know what? No, you're not going to get it. I'm going to get it. So
his agent talked to the news yesterday and said he made numerous calls to Jones and Jones refused to return his calls. Like this is literally your fucking job, right? You have one fucking job, Jerry. Call agents back and make deals, right? You want to be the GM of this team, you have to talk to agents. You don't get to tell players you can't use an agent when you deal with me. He's like I don't know, he's like a dictator or something of that team. It's crazy to me. Like, it's crazy.
It is, and it made me all the more proud of how the Steelers. Oh, very much so, and how the Steelers handled TJ. Now, I'm just so proud of that because you have the TJ thing just being handled, being done. Look, everyone, let's celebrate TJ. You have the Trey Hendricks thing, which is still messy. Where they're like, okay, here's a bit of money, but we don't know what we're gonna do. Then Micah Parsons is traded.
Right.
So chaos in other two areas.
Myles Garrett was messy. Cleveland fucks everything up, and they still did a better job than Dallas.
This is so interesting. Now, I will say this: I have a grid of all of the teams and who they play and all this. I'm doing a full season prediction.
Wow.
I spent like 25 minutes going back because now I'm like, okay, now I got to look at Dallas and Green Bay all over again. And it messed a lot of stuff up. So that took me some time. Thank you, Micah Parsons. Yeah. But I did see the wonderful videos of him telling his mom that, okay, now you can retire, of him saying, of it hitting him that he's being paid what a pass rusher at his level deserves. So good for him. And I hope that Green Bay beats the pants off of Dallas.
Yeah, I love it. I was just shocked. I couldn't believe they let him go. All right, before we start talking about the game this week, let's talk real quick about Cam, because all of a sudden you're just not hearing anything. I mean, it was the only thing we heard anything about for the longest time. And Cam said he wanted an extension. He said the Steelers laughed at him. And then crickets. But Cam was asked about it on his podcast, and Tomlin was asked about it in his press conference. And Zach, you have clips of that, right?
I do, yeah. We're gonna see what Cam said on his podcast, and then we'll get into Mike Tomlin. These are only about 3 hours apart from when Cam said this and it aired in Mike Tomlin, so that's important to know. So,
anything else we need to know before this game Sunday? What we will? Well, I guess the main question too: will Cam Hayward be out there?
We'll see.
We'll see. All right. Well,
that's ominous. That's ominous. But I don't think Mike Tomlin wanted to let that linger at all because he was asked about Cam Hayward, and this is how that
went. Cam to play, and because of how limited he made himself in the preseason, is he ready to play?
I'm certainly expecting Cam to play. Cam doesn't play a lot in team development over the last several years. My job is to get him in and out of Latrobe, and I've done my job. And so there are no reservations about his participation or his readiness. I'm sure he's chopping at the bit.
Well, conflicting things there, huh?
I will say this, that, look, I've listened to a lot of Cam's podcast, a lot of Cam's podcast. Okay. And where other people can't shut their mouths, Cam is always a man of few words. Like, he never, ever spills. He doesn't usually spill the beans, right? Like, he's not the guy that usually breaks the news. Like, he wants to break somebody else's news. Like, he wants somebody else to come on there and spill the tea, right? But he doesn't necessarily do that about himself. And when he tells stories about stuff with the team, he's pretty tight-lipped about who did things and who said, you know what I mean? All that stuff. So maybe this is just Cam being Cam, and because he's still in negotiations, his agent has told him, don't say anything. I mean, that seems like the advice I would give if I were an agent.
I was thinking that, and as we're sitting here, I'm like, wonder what happened in those 3 hours, because you never know. Maybe Cam was like, something's in the works. I'm gonna say we'll see if it sets off a little bit of a fire. I'll say this. If I wake up tomorrow and I find out that Cam Hayward got an extension of any kind, it will not surprise me. I will
Not at
not be
all.
one of the shocked people.
Mm-mm.
So I will say this. I cannot see Cam Hayward risking a strong start for the team and the defense by sitting out. What does that get you at his age? The age thing is very important there for me
Yeah.
because everything is ticking away. And I've said it openly on the last podcast we had where Relic filled in. I'll say it here again. Every time I've run the Steelers schedule, we start out at worst 4-1.
Yeah.
Like at worst, we start out 4-1. You don't risk that by sitting out, especially not with Derek Harmon out now for probably until maybe like week 3 or 4.
Yeah.
So I cannot see Cam Hayward missing games, extension or not. I just can't.
I just think he's too much of a competitor. And if this team really believes it all, they're, look, we're all in with Rodgers or whatever this is. We got this defense. This is our shot. Cam is still healthy. If he really believes any of that and any of that really matters to him, then I just don't see him sitting out of a game. I just don't. I don't know what that looks like because, look, I also, on that other side of that same coin, I'm thinking to myself, I also don't see Cam going against what he said, which is, I want an extension to play. So it makes me feel very icky. I don't like it. I want them to just go ahead and give him an extension so we can not talk about this anymore.
And I like firm lines and absolutes when it comes to certain things, which is why, being a Steeler fan was nice. At a certain point, no more contract discussions. The second that week 1 starts, no more contract discussions. They're done. So he has 5 days. You got 5 days left, Cam. So it's all agent stuff.
You were more optimistic than I was. So maybe there was some, maybe Cam made that comment, the we'll see comment, and maybe that lit a spark under the team, and maybe they're closer to solving this, than they were before. So, I mean, maybe that could be it. I'm shocked, frankly, that it's gone on this long. I thought for sure by now they would have worked something out. I didn't think they would let it linger like this.
I'm surprised. I can't see the Steelers breaking tradition to the point where they would continue a renegotiation into the season. Omar Khan or not. There's just certain things you don't touch. I cannot see that. So
I don't think that's happening because that opens too big of a can of worms, for the future. Do you know what I mean? And so, look, there's some traditions you can bend on because they did it for Antonio Brown. It's not your contract year. We're going to extend you early. Did it for Jaylen Warren just now. So, I get, there's some reasoning behind that stuff. But when it comes to once the season really gets underway, I don't see them doing that.
That's true. And another reason I'm being a little optimistic is the Jaylen Warren timing was interesting, and maybe because not NFL accountant, maybe that freed up a little money that behind the scenes we didn't see, because that really seemed to come out of nowhere. Not in a terrible way where it was we extended him for all this money. Just what a strange thing to happen. So maybe that's why I don't. I could be horribly wrong about all of this, but I have Cam jersey out the episode before, he started participating in practice again. So I got it out again today. I had the TJ thing out before he got signed. I'm hoping that this is the magical couch. Although if it is, I'm going to have to find a way to bring it to Ireland for the game.
Right. Yeah, you better pack that in your suitcase. I was trying to look and see how much cap space they have left. So it says, the most recent report in August, the Steelers have approximately $25.2 million in available cap space following TJ's extension.
Pay the guy.
So pay Hayward. You can't take that shit to the grave with you. Just pay the man.
Exactly, and you don't want to bring it into the regular season. You really don't want to do that.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Seems to me like we should just go ahead and make that a done deal and take the pressure off with that and go into this game, with everybody pumped up and excited and not worried.
No, I will say this. The Omar Khan Steelers front office, if there's anything they don't do, it's panic or show emotion. they're just like, we're going to get this done. So they're probably sitting there like, yeah, we know. Yep.
Yeah.
We know.
I'm sure.
So they're fine with it.
Yeah.
and when they sign him, they'll be like, yep, we signed him. And that'll be it.
Yeah.
So,
You'll get the Bordellis Law tweet or whatever it is, and that'll be with Cam with his pen. I was like, did they run out of pens? Do I need to send a case of pens to UMPC or UPMC in so they could get Cam's contract signed? And then they did Warren's, and I was like, so it's clearly not a pen shortage. It's just
it's
time.
not a pen shortage. And for anybody who's gonna go wild on comparisons and say, oh, this is just like in Dallas where the second Mike is gone, they extend Ron Bland. This is not that kind of extension, and people need to calm down. And football needs to start because you're all getting really bored out there.
Yeah, people are nuts. People are really nuts. All right, so let's talk a little bit about this Jets game. So you will never convince me that the NFL doesn't have a script. When the Steelers start off their season playing the Jets, and so it's Aaron Rodgers versus his old team and Justin Fields versus his old team. And come on, I mean, it's too much drama. It's definitely, there's a script. So how are you feeling about this game? Like overall feelings? We're going to make a prediction later, but overall feelings.
Overall feelings confident, and not just in how the game's, but confident in the fact that only me and really old school loving football players are going to enjoy this game. This is two really good defenses and two offenses that are brand new playing in week one. It's going to be sloppy for a little bit. It's going to be low scoring, but I'm confident. Nothing I have heard, seen, anything like that says the first few weeks are anything to worry about. It's the ramp we need.
Yeah.
So not concerned.
How do you think Justin Fields will do?
I think we're going to be angry about that. I think we're going to see him use so much better than we used him. And the amount of tweets from Steeler fans saying, oh, look at that. But then he's going to make one or two Justin Fields plays. And with this, and come on, Justin Fields has to be a little terrified and going up to offensive players saying, guys, no, I'm not kidding. Don't take this defense quietly. This is a scare. TJ Watt wants to hurt me. No one let him get. So, because there is something in pass rushers when they get to face a quarterback that they weren't allowed to touch before.
Yeah.
Because before that, TJ Watt had to brush by him on wide open sacks in practice sometimes. Doesn't have to do that anymore. But at the same token, I don't like when typical Steelers defenses play against running quarterbacks, unless they're Lamar Jackson.
Yeah.
Because we just beat the pants off of him. I don't know why. Ever since the Michael Vick era, pre-Steelers, when he was still Falcons, when it came to the Steelers, we didn't properly know how to defend running quarterbacks, and that's the only concern I have.
Do you think that the Jets defense will bring that same energy for Aaron Rodgers, that like, I want to kill the guy that I used to not be able to touch?
I think so. Who is it? It's not Ben Johnson, the coach of the Jets right now that came over from the Lions. I forget what his name is.
Robert Saleh, right? Saleh, Sale. Is that right?
I thought they fired him. I'm trying to.
Oh, they might have fired him.
He brought there's a different
Aaron Glenn.
Jets. Thank you. Yeah, Aaron Glenn. He is putting together he put together a coaching staff that just I got jealous of when I saw that it was being put together. Thank you very much. But that is what I think will be the difference. I don't think it's going to be about facing Aaron Rodgers. I don't even think it's going to be about, hey, let's help Justin Fields beat his own team. Aaron Glenn gets the most out of his players. Detroit and the way they did things and the culture he came from there, that's real football. So that I still think we're going to win, but a lot of people are going to be surprised in what this Jets looks like because they're used to the old Jets. And this is not your old Jets anymore.
So who are your players to kind of watch in this game? Who are you really looking to see? Who do you think is going to be
Oh,
an impact maker?
well, I'm fascinated to see Sauce against DK Metcalf. What a start for DK
Yeah.
Metcalf. He has started against Sauce Gardner, one of the best defensive backs in the NFL. But also, this is, other than us, which a lot of people think is probably the best defensive line in football, the Jets have a really good defensive line. I mean, a really
Yeah.
good. Our offensive line has to be on point. They have to be on point consistently. Broderick Jones gets no passes. I will be watching 77 all day long. But I'm going to be watching to see what what Arthur Smith's offense looks like against a very, very frightening Jets defense.
Yeah.
Wow, on that first. Now that I would love to see when they're
Yeah.
just one-on-one in pass coverage, but the second I'm looking forward to seeing Calvin Austin lay Sauce out when it comes to pass blocking. These wide receivers, they like to pass block. There's some bit of Heinz Ward
Yeah.
of just hanging around this wide receiver group.
I think one of the things that's interesting is look, I think Glenn's a good coach. I think he's put together a good coaching unit. Like you said, I think they've got a good defensive line. Who I don't trust is Justin Fields. And I think that, look, I hate it because I wanted that kid to do well in Pittsburgh. I think he's got a lot of talent. But there's some disconnect between his talented body and his ability and what he outputs onto the field. And I don't know why that is. Do you know what I mean? I don't know if it's where the breakdown is. Reading the field, whatever. You can't always blame. We blamed everything, right? We blamed his four coaches in Chicago, different offensive lines in Chicago. We blamed, whatever went on at the Steelers, like all of this. But you just, at some point, like, right? Like if your teams keep sucking, at some point you have to look and go, maybe I'm the common denominator here and I'm an issue. So I can't even believe I'm saying this, Aaron Rodgers with the Steelers with Mike Tomlin way more than I trust Justin Fields with anybody, because I think he has flashes. I know that we had that one game against him when he was a rookie where he looked brilliant, but that was one game. And we haven't really seen consistently that same kind of performance from him, right? So I just don't know that he can do enough against this really strong Steelers defense. And I think that Mike Tomlin knows him really well. You just spent a year with this kid, getting to know him. You got to know him well enough to know that you didn't want to match the Jets offer, right? So I think Mike Tomlin who is a defensive coach, will be better at defending him than Aaron Glenn will be at picking our defense apart.
And I think with Justin Fields, it's about muscle memory drop off is the best way I can describe it, because the best quarterbacks, no matter how much pressure they're under, their muscle memory doesn't change. The same mechanics, the same thing. Justin Fields has that point where it just careens off and he goes back into like high school scramble mode and all that. Yeah. And the Steelers know that, and they'll be telling each other, just push him a bit. When you hit him, you don't just get him upset, get him off his thing, make him
get him a little bit off his game, a little bit panicked, right? And he starts to fall apart.
Because, and the biggest thing about this specific Steelers defense is it's not just a couple of hopefuls and, the bad pickup of Cam Sutton that are defensive backs behind them. When this front sevens disrupts the pass, you're going to have Darius Slade, Jalen Ramsey, and Joey Porter Jr. back there waiting to pick a ball up.
Yeah.
And that's what I would not be surprised if there was more than one interception by this team, just because of I think we're going to see this defense have a little bit of fun.
Yeah.
I really do.
I hope so. I really hope so. I'd like to see this group come out. I think it's important for the overall mentality with the way we left off last season with people so frustrated, for them to come out and have a really solid performance where they feel like they were starting to click, even if it's not perfect, right? It's not going to be perfect in week 1, but like you at least feel like, okay, this is something we can build on.
Exactly. And I don't want any excuses from the Steelers defense right off the bat. Game 1, I better see consistent move from TJ Watt. I want to see him different spots. I want to see him moving around in different. I want to see him stand up, hand in the ground. Prove that. There is
Right.
no, oh, we're waiting for, Harmon to be back and all that. I need to see that immediately because that's going to be crucial. Because if you're going to play an aging TJ the same way that you've played him the entire time, he's going to get frustrated again. So
Yeah.
I want to see that movement, which means that Alex Axel has also said that he wants to move around, and that's how you get this linebacker rotation working. I genuinely think that matters so much to me.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So, what are you expecting to see from this Arthur Smith offense? Like, my perspective, I expect to see something that feels a little bit more cohesive than what we saw last year. The play calling, do you know what I mean? And the balance of it. Do you feel like this is still going to be that typical Steelers, like run, pass offense? Or are you expecting to see something new and different, extremely run heavy? Do you think it'll be more balanced? What are you
I
expecting to
think
see
that
out of them?
I think we're going to see a little bit of a reverse in the Steelers offense than we're normally used to because we're used to, like you said, the run to set up the pass and all that. I think it's going to be a little reversed. I think we're going to see passing to set up the run until the running game proves that it can handle more. Because
Yeah.
right now, out of the two, you either have Aaron Rodgers and DK Metcalf and John Smith, or you have Jalen Warren, who's never been a lead back, Caleb Johnson, who's a rookie, and Kenneth Gainwell, who's the RB3. So at least in my mind. So, and that's going to take a little getting used to. And I don't know how pretty it's going to be right off the bat, but all I want is consistency.
Yeah.
The speed at which Twitter will call for the heads of every Steeler if we go 3 and out on that first drive. I know I will say many as I say none Jesus words. I will say a lot of them and get very, very angry. But I have to remind myself it's a long game, but goodness gracious, wouldn't it be great to see just a consistent march down the field? Hey, look, a couple nice passes down the middle. Hey, look, DK Metcalf is involved. Jalen Warren does some things and we score. That I think would settle everyone down both in the seats and on the field. I was nervous all of last year about this offense. I don't want to be nervous all year again.
If he could call like a real, like professional level game, right? Like, wouldn't that just be a fucking novelty in Pittsburgh? Like a professional looking game, where you're not winning because you get lucky or because Boswell's such a great kicker or because your defense is so good or whatever it is, right? It's not because Mike Tomlin always finds a way to win in close games or whatever the nonsense is, right? It's just, can we just go out? You're talking about like a boring, you like a boring team. I would like to just win games without a heart attack. Sometimes it doesn't even have to be every game of the season, but could we have any game where we just go out and we're not spending the whole game freaking out?
That would be really, really nice. And someone tell Arthur Smith, man, the bar is really low right now to succeed offensively in Pittsburgh. You don't have to do much. Don't try too hard. Just win games for us and do enough so the defense can do their thing. That's all we ask. So TJ stays fresh. So Cam stays fresh. So the defensive backs do their things. Just because we haven't had that.
It felt like pre-Randy Fichtner years, like we used to take our foot off the gas. Like we would get this lead, right? And we would go up on a team and then all of a sudden we take our foot off the gas. We drop back into like prevent defense. And then next thing you know, we're down by 7 points and you're like, oh shit, what happened? Now the game's almost over and we're going to lose. And I don't know how we ever got into that mode. And then it turned into like, okay, well, let's just do enough to win. And then you're always too close. Do you know what I mean? The other team's trying to win too. Like you gotta try like to put them away, like run that score up. It's okay. They're all getting paid. Run the score.
I will say that I would be fine with. If theirs starts to find, because there are plenty of mouths to feed on this offense. If you can find ways to make it click, even just a little bit, there's no reason we can't be scoring upwards of 24 points a game. And if you told this defense they get 24 points, that we're going to win a lot of football games. We don't need to be the Chiefs or the Dolphins. We just need to be better than we were. And yet again, Arthur Smith, if for some reason you stumble across this, not a high bar to be better than the guys before you.
Really, really low. So are you more or less confident going into this season? Like, forget all the other variables, right? We have the same offensive coordinator. We got a lot of the same offensive guys. Are you more or less confident in our quarterback situation this year than you were last year? Like,
I'm more confident in it because last year it was I wasn't really sure what we were getting. It was a toss up, and like I've said a couple of times, I feel like it was a dress rehearsal for this year. But the results of training camp and the way the players reacted and the energy that you felt from people is different this year. It's different, and from all that I've heard, a large part of that has been because Aaron Rodgers was there. And he made it he made it a big deal to be there for camp and for the guys without making it feel performative like Russell Wilson did. Where it was kind of like he came out as like, okay, I'm gonna read from script 12 today, and he just decided that was this. Yeah, it got old very quickly. Aaron Rodgers doesn't feel like it's gonna be that way.
Yeah, I agree with that. I actually didn't hate all the like rah stuff from Russell. And I'm usually somebody that really doesn't like that stuff. I find it kind of fake and phony, but it felt like maybe this is just who this guy really is. Do you know what I mean? When he was there, I kind of defended him and I was like, maybe he's just that guy. Like, I used to work with a lady that was like that. She was just one of those people that was like always cheerleading people. So I was like, maybe this is just his personality, but I will say that looking at it now with another quarterback that's as veteran as he is, do you know what I mean? I always feel like we're a little bit, I don't know, jaded or something because we had Ben Roethlisberger who really didn't have shit to say to anybody. He acted like he didn't need to talk to you. He really didn't want to talk to you. I mean, after those first couple of years where he wouldn't shut up, then they told him to quit talking, and he took that really seriously for the next I don't know, decade or whatever.
He did. Now I'm curious. Let's say we win the game because I have a feeling we're both assuming that's the direction it's going to go. Who do you think is going to be the person that we end up saying, I really didn't expect blank to be a big part of that win? Who do you think the blank is going to be? Like, there's something where we expect. Oh, Troy Fatano. Oh, okay. I like that. You know what? That's a very good point. Because if we just get consistent pockets, I guarantee I go back. Because, like I said, last year was one of the most painful film watches I've ever had because Broderick Jones was just not good. As bad as he was, that's how good Troy Fatano's been in camp. But everything I've watched is just like someone who doesn't. That's what you want out of a first round pick. I like that. I think we're gonna say Darius Slay's name more than we think we are.
I like that.
I think he's gonna be a sneaky guy.
Yeah. I think that the thing is I think Aaron Rodgers can do a lot with a solid offensive line, right? So I think if he gets some opportunities from his line, I think he can do more with it than Russell Wilson could because he wouldn't throw over the middle of the field. I think he can do more with it than Justin Fields could because he was scrambling all the time. I just think he's definitely never as panicky looking as those guys looked at times, or rushed or hurried. Do you know what I mean? He's just calm on the field. It's probably the ayahuasca's like diluted his panic response or something. So I don't know, but I feel like if he gets an opportunity, I feel like he can handle just about any situation that gets thrown at him if the offensive line performance is solid.
I agree. What I don't want to happen with Arthur Smith is I don't want him to develop what I call the Dre Archer problem, where we had no idea how to use this kid. He was
Yeah.
fast as all hell. He was like shifty and all that. I don't want there to be too many mouths to feed and too many talented players to get the ball to Arthur Smith gets overwhelmed by it.
Yeah.
It's just in the back of my head lurking. I'm like, I haven't seen anything from him that shows. I mean, anyone who says, yes, toss the ball to Najee again that many times, can you unlearn that in one off season? That's what I'm wondering. Or if he doesn't, how quickly does Aaron Rodgers step in over the headset and just say, yeah, no, shut up. You don't know. You don't call play. From what I hear about Aaron Rodgers, if he said that, then Mike Tomlin will probably say, okay, shut up.
Yeah. I don't know. It's going to be interesting because look, we talked about this like way earlier, even before they brought Aaron Rodgers onto the team, right? That it was all of this stuff about, letting Arthur Smith run this offense this year, this being Arthur Smith's offense, right? Taking the handcuffs off of him and all that stuff or whatever. And then by that same token, we also talked about how Aaron Rodgers likes things the way Aaron Rodgers likes things. And those two things may not necessarily line up equally, right? So what does that look like in the regular season where Arthur Smith is being respected as the offensive coordinator? He's being able to pick and call the plays. And yet Aaron Rodgers is still feeling like he has an opportunity to contribute.
That's true. I think from this will be where we get to see the difference in Aaron Rodgers' experience and Arthur Smith's, even though he's been a head coach for his lack of experience. Because I think Aaron Rodgers is going to, for lack of a better word, give the plenty of room on that leash for Arthur Smith and say, listen, call your plays, call that. And even if there's some bumps in the road, they'll talk about it after and all this. But I think it would take a while for it to get to a point where I honestly thought it would start out, which is what Mark Caboli said early on, which was it's Aaron Rodgers' offense, and he's going to call it Aaron Rodgers' way. From everything I heard in camp, no, this is Arthur Smith's offense, and until unless we're like 0-3 and we don't know how to do anything, then I think Aaron Rodgers is going to respect that.
Yeah. Relic said, how are you feeling about Aaron Rodgers going into week 1? If he gets sacked, I fear he may die. It's a valid concern. It's why he's going to run with like a mattress strapped to his back, or like the kid on Christmas Story in his snowsuit. We can send him out like that, extra padding or something.
Now, I think I don't think anyone will phrase it the way Relic wonderfully did, which is why he's an author. I think this really is in the back of every offensive lineman's head where, listen, this is on us more than anyone on this offense. All of these pieces, all of the Jonnu Smiths and DK Metcalfs and the Aaron Rodgers behind us matters nothing if we let guys behind us. Broderick Jones especially. Because like you said, Troy Furtano, I can easily see him being a standout star, saying, wow, he was a reason we won that game. I am more nervous about Broderick Jones than probably any single player. That right there, thank you. Every single player.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, like what Relic said, it doesn't take much. It wouldn't take much to break Mr. Aaron Rodgers. And if he has because on the very first play of preseason, big bad whiff, awful play, and then he got himself back. We can't let that one whiff happen. It can't happen. And New York has really, I think they got Will McDonald IV from, that's a very, very dangerous pass rusher. I'm genuinely nervous about what Broderick Jones can do.
Look, they have that offensive line has to go out and protect Aaron Rodgers like their grandpa's back there throwing throwing the ball, right? Like you've got to protect him like that. You have to be like, my grandpa's behind me. I have to do everything I can to make sure these big guys don't get to my grandpa and knock him to the ground because he is about that fragile. And I think that's going to be a key. I mean, can the offensive line protect him? Can he stay healthy?
It's
maybe we'll moving him around some games.
Last year, I think we were like, the offensive line it's going to be important to the team, but I think everyone was focused on the wide receivers. Like, why don't we
Yeah.
have a wide receiver? Why are wide receivers? It's paramount that this offensive line works.
Yeah.
Because the defense is older than they were last year, and they will get tired faster than they did if the offense puts it all on them again.
Yep.
While George Pickens is gone, thank goodness, because everything he's done since getting to Dallas has just been proof of why he is no longer in Pittsburgh.
They're trying so hard to make those sour grapes like good wine too in Dallas. They're trying so hard. I'm like, yeah, I'll talk to you in a few months.
It just is. Now, I will say this. For what I know and have gleaned from what I've written about Broderick Jones a while ago, and from what hearing him talk, all he needs is one great outing in week 1 for that confidence to shoot through the roof and for him to look like the player he was at Georgia again, but it can go the other way just as quickly. Yeah. So I think it's going to be more on the other 4 players if he can't perform, and that's it's shaky so quickly. Look, when Broderick Jones doesn't.
You and I heard about it for a whole fucking year. He has to be moved. He's on the wrong side. He'd be so good if he was on the other side. So he's moved. Okay, so let's see. We're gonna find out if that was really the problem or if the problem is Broderick.
Because I gotta say, this Steeler front office is not afraid to say, yeah, first round doesn't care. If you don't work, you're gone. Busts or bust. We will trade you. We'll trade you for a 5th round pick, and you'll get traded for like 6 more.
I would rather they did that than you keep this bust around and keep wheeling him out there and pretending like you don't, with your head in the sand, like some teams do. Like there's some NFL law that you can't trade him because he was a 1st round pick. No, get him the fuck out of here. If he can't play, he can't play. Bye.
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now I would expect them to give him the whole. We don't have the depth of that position to bring out many other people, but after the season, if he is a liability or anything less than the 1st round pick that we traded up to get, like we just sat there and Troy Fautanu fell to us.
Right.
But the difference is there. Then I'm going to be so mad because my goodness, the cornerbacks that were there for us to take. It would take me a while to forgive them for that one.
Yeah,
but
that's
on the flip side, I can see it being just as likely that I'm sitting there saying I haven't seen pockets like this in Pittsburgh in a long time. Look how much time Aaron Rodgers has, which would lead to time with Jaylen Warren to find holes, and it could be positive just as much as it could be negative. So.
Yeah. All right. Before we go, Zach, what is your score prediction for this game?
I was going back and forth, but I don't think it's going to be high scoring at all. I would say the Steelers are going to win. I'll go weird. It'll be 19-10.
Oh, that's a weird one.
It's a defensive game. Weirdness happens. I'll say 8 touchdown, a lot of Boswell. But prove me wrong. I would love.
I like a lot of Boswell. Bring me a lot of Boswell.
Yeah.
No Steelers defense, because I play you this week in fantasy, and you've got the defense, and I've got Boswell. So I hope we kick like 52 field goals, and the defense never gets on the field.
That would be if both of those things happen, that would be incredibly surprising.
Oh, Relic's here. Hold on. Relic's got the prediction. He said 78-0 Steelers win. Your lips to God's ears, Relic. I'm coming in with 21-13. So
21. You know what? I will take that. All 3 say wins. By the way, Relic, we win 78-0. I am coming to you for lottery numbers.
Yeah, we win 78-0. I'll buy 10 copies of Relic's book to send out for him. So
I've never seen that. I've seen 50 burgers, and I think I've never seen that. So that would be new to me. Why not? Let's do it.
Yeah, it'll be fun. I wouldn't turn it down. All right. If you've joined us tonight, we really appreciate it. Please do us a favor, like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. Vicky says 17-7. I'm going to add that to the list. Please like, share, and subscribe to the podcast. You can find both of us on X, where you can subscribe to our pages there. Follow both of us. If you're catching this after the show was already filmed, drop us your score prediction in the comments. Send it to us on Twitter. Let us know what you think. Tell us who you're most excited to see to play this week 1 game. What do you think is going to happen with Cam? And will Aaron Rodgers get broken or not? Let's hope not. All right. Take care, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Have a good night, everyone.
Leanne and Zach would like to thank you for tuning in to the Steel City Huddle podcast. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss a thing.